Hey everyone, this is the Villains Man. I'm JVD, bringing you another comic book review over Doctor Strange, Secret Empire, a Secret Empire tie-in. If you didn't catch on. This takes place in Volume 3, issues 21 through 24. Unlike Amazing Spider-Man, during all this, which I've reviewed, if you'd like to go check that out. This actually does take place during the miniseries, where the Dark Force dimension has encased New York and put the city in blackout. Doctor Strange, along with the Defenders and some other street heroes, are caught in it trying to keep New York alive. Now, you really didn't get a lot of insight into this really deeply, like in the miniseries for Secret Empire, and this really goes in depth and makes it almost a completely different other thing. It's almost very Walking Dead-like, as there's a lot of monsters running around the city, and the heroes are trying to stay alive. They're all carrying weaponry, and they're trying to protect the civilians that can't protect themselves, and it's very Walking Dead-like in a degree. As a fan of D&D, which all of us here at the Villains Man love D&D, there's a lot of D&D references usually made between Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, or Ben Orridge. So that was very entertaining. I was kind of upset that there was no references to Scarlet Witch being Chthon. I was really hoping to kind of get a part of that in here. This does take place with the current theme in the book, where there's not a lot of magic, and we get to see Doctor Strange continuing to use what trinkets and items he can find to survive and actually defeat his foes. But it's really, really good. It's well put together. It tells the story of Secret Empire while still giving you the feeling of what's going on in the book, so you really can't complain about it. It does have a lot of my favorite characters in it. It's got Daredevil in it. It's got Iron Fist, which I love Iron Fist. He's my boy. It really makes you appreciate a character like Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, just with her banty, her her witty banter. Man, that was really messed up, wasn't it? I think that's the Dark Force messing me up here. But it's a really good book. You should give it a chance. And with that, I'll kind of dive into everything. Like I said, it's very Walking Dead. We see where the heroes are trying to find food, and they're scrapping to survive, especially Doctor Strange, as he's trying to figure out what's going on, due to being the only person in New York who understands what's going on, maybe besides Cloak. And which is crazy. It's something that they really emphasize when they mention this in the Secret Empire miniseries, is they're using Dagger as a light source for New York, and she is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And there's still no reference to that in here, so I don't know if that's an oversight or it just wasn't that important, but it doesn't take away from the overall story. Because I guess depending time-wise, you could say that she's at the peak of her power while this is going on, and which would kind of make some sense, because that would allow characters like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones and all of them to actually see what's going on. But we get to see Daredevil and Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, and Ben Orridge. They're heading to the Sanctum Sanctorum and trying to figure out what's going on. Daredevil has a thing called the Eternal Blade, and I'm not sure if I've ever heard of this. He says that he's had it for a while, and I tried to look up anything for it, and I couldn't even find anything about it. So if you're watching this and you have anything or anywhere I can look at the Eternal Blade, please send it my way. You can post something in the comments. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or Twitter about that. I'd really appreciate it. But we learned something cool, and I've never seen this in a Daredevil book, but his radar sense can see magical auroras around him, and that's how he finds his way into the Sanctum, which we find out it's a trap by Mordo, because he has set up shop there and is waiting for Doctor Strange to come back so he can kill him. And this is really what he is doing for Hydra. I would not say that he is a Hydra member during all this, but he is definitely working for him, and you can kind of tell that they're just kind of using him to hold down New York while they're taking over the rest of the country. Anyways, there's something really cool here as Doctor Strange makes his way to Sanctum, and he talks about how there's magic in everything. And he's going to make a witch's brew. He makes it out of a couple's first Chinese takeout in their new home, a lucky rabbit's foot that's from 3 separate fatal car crashes. If you ever was a kid and played with a barrel of monkeys, the little red monkeys that hook together, he throws one of them in there and uses the fire from a Zippo and makes this witch's brew, which will break the dome. Until Jessica and Drew and Daredevil and all them mess it up because they're attacking Mordo and they mess his brew up. It's pretty funny. He's pretty mad about it. So anyways, they're in trouble. And this is where the D&D references start because Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, I gotta start calling her Spider-Woman through this, references Doctor Strange as a dungeon master. And it's pretty funny. And they're saved by the Kingpin, and that is something we got to see a peek in during the Secret Empire story, was how Kingpin was supplying people in trouble with food, medical supplies, fresh water, so they would remember him. So you can already tell he's scheming through this because he knows the heroes are going to prevail. And actually, he talks about how he has magic stored up and he can take Doctor Strange there so they can get rid of the dome and defeat Mordo. And this is pretty cool because a lot of people don't realize this about Kingpin is he knows magic, not to the degree like Doctor Strange or Baron Mordo. He's not a sorcerer like magic, but he has practice with magic. And if you've ever read Shadowland, which I enjoy Shadowland, and a lot of people don't, which is kind of where we get the Daredevil costume that we're seeing in the story from. He uses old, I want to say Japanese magic based on kind of his surroundings at the time to summon Ghost Rider to him and take control of him, and sends Ghost Rider to try to kill Daredevil as he's possessed by the Beast. So he does have some knowledge of magic. So if you're reading this and you're like, oh, that's BS, no, it's really not. It's something from 7-8 years ago that he's actually done. So it makes sense that he has this vault form magic. Well, Mordo starts summoning these crazy mindless ones that look like they're made of electronic devices, but they're kind of symbiote to watch everybody as he's got Daredevil captured. Well, Kingpin has this dark wizard or witch, not really sure what they are, but she's the one that guards the vault with an illusion, and they kind of have a fight. And as this mindless one is fighting the witch, Kingpin takes him to the vault. And this is pretty cool because this whole price to pay for using magic that's been a theme comes into play here. And every time there's some of these things they're going to grab, and Doctor Strange tells them no, and he starts referencing every item and what it does and the price for it. So it's pretty cool that, like I said, even though this is tied to Secret Empire, and it fits in the Secret Empire storylines, it also is still a Doctor Strange story based on what's going on as ongoing. Like I said, it's really well written. Well, anyways, the Kingpin grabs this demon skull and blasts the mindless one thing with fire. And not wanting to pay a price, and he's very worried, we see Urge grabs this sword of light, and he becomes this ghost knight thing made of pure light energy. And he starts fighting off the thing and kills it, and we learn that he's a LARPer. And he said he always gets scared to play when he LARPs. So another nerdy RPG fantasy reference here. A lot of fun stuff. And when they ask him some stuff, he refers to the Advanced D&D Arms and Equipment Guide. Lots of D&D RPG stuff here. I love it. I think it's great. Anyway, so they fight Mordo. And Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Cloak do. And they trap Cloak in a book, which I thought was really cool because he's tied to the Dark Force. We see this plane that's called the Phantom Eagle plane start attacking Mordo and them, which Spider-Woman gets to fly. And it's all a big ruse. This whole thing has been a big ruse just to get to the Sanctum Sanctorum. And everybody's in on it. Well, Doctor Strange pulls a really good trick because he's outmatched. And he uses astral projection to bait Mordo out with while he's on the plane, knowing that it's going to crash, so he can get closer to the Sanctorum. So it's rope-a-dope all along. It's great. Really well thought out. And there's a reference there at the end where Doctor Strange is going to go find some way to save this dark. That he needs to go save this darkness. And Jessica Jones makes another D&D reference. And it ends with, she says Doc needs to fetch his dice bag to roll a wisdom save, and Ulrich tells her that's not how that works. Great stuff, love it. And anyway, and then this whole book wraps up the ending with how it started in, where Strange talks about how every time he'd get his ass kicked, he likes taking a bath, and he hadn't had a bath in weeks. And that might give you an idea of how long he's been trapped under this Darkforce-domed, and how long Secret Empire's been going on. I didn't think about that till just now. And anyways, no, he's not worried about the dome just yet, because he's got everything wrapped up. He goes and takes a bath. Like I said, really, really good stuff here. It's really, like I said, it really works well as a Secret Empire story, and it also works really well as its own standalone Doctor Strange story. Really, really well written. Like I said, enough D&D references to go around. Obviously, Ben Urich is a LARPer, and I guarantee you will probably never ever see that come up in another book at all. But I guess that's Jason Aaron's brilliance. I love the guy. I just love him enough. This is great. You get a lot of good characters here, and then it kind of brings Doctor Strange down to everybody's level during all this. Even though he's got the little trinkets, he's very on par with the Defenders, who's mainly this book, and Spider-Woman. Really well written. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like I said, it fits both things that it's trying to be without really ruining anything. It's really well written. But I'm JBD for the Villains Man. It's been my review for Doctor Strange Secret Empire. Go follow the Villains Man on YouTube, Twitter. Hopefully you're subscribed to our YouTube channel where you're listening to this now. You can like and comment. Go see the rest of my Secret Empire reviews as they're going on right now. Please leave me a comment on those. I understand if you will not like the mini-series. I referenced that in there. Perfectly fine with that. Keep reading, guys.